Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Election day, just 3 weeks from today. Can you believe it? In the final stretch, both campaigns are blanketing the swing states in the Rust Belt. The key battleground is Wisconsin with 10 electoral votes.
Well, the race is tight in the Dairy State, with recent polls showing the candidates in a dead heat. They're fighting for the edge in the state that has historically close elections. CBN's Paul Petit has the story.
While about 240 million people are eligible to vote in the presidential election, pollsters and campaigns are mainly focusing on voters in 7 states likely to determine the winner. That includes Wisconsin.
Razor thin.
That's how former Wisconsin House Speaker Mike Hipsch describes the likely margin of victory here in November.
In Wisconsin, it absolutely will be thin, mainly because we're always that tight. This is a very important election. They all are. But this is one that has, I think, for those who are enthusiastic, those who are excited, those who are concerned about this election, they're going to crawl over broken glass, as we say, to make sure that they go out and vote. The question will be, will there be enough of either the Democrats or the Republicans in Wisconsin to come out and vote? And that's something that we just never know.
According to our metric, which takes into account 4 election cycles worth of results, federal offices, statewide offices, Wisconsin is the most evenly divided state in the country.
Here's an example of that. Former President Trump won here in 2016. President Biden took the title in 2020. Going back to the year 2000, 3 presidential elections have been decided in Wisconsin by less than a single percentage point.
Wisconsin is a true swing state, and throughout the state, you'll see that even in legislative races and congressional races. And we're proud of that. We take pride in the fact that we like to get to know our candidates.
Wisconsin has been a swing state since the mid-20th century, according to experts, and the same holds true when it comes to state races. In fact, out of the last 6 governors dating back to 1983, 3 have been Republican and 3 have been Democrats.
Many pundits that say the state, the swing state is Wisconsin.
Former Governor Scott McCallum says swing states are similar in that they include Democrat strongholds in urban areas surrounded by Republican-leaning rural areas. It's the metropolitan suburbs, however, that really makes the difference. Those rapidly growing populations include middle-class, family-oriented Hispanics and African Americans who have become disenfranchised with the Democratic establishment.
It's an interesting flip where Democrats used to be the party of the working people, is now the Republicans are a party of the working people. The big shots don't understand these aren't automatic Democrats. They're working. They're frustrated with what's going on. So it's going to be an interesting race.
In Wisconsin, Hipsch believes November's presidential election will basically boil down to who turns their true convictions into real votes.
Which one is going to have more influence, which side is going to be more enthusiastic, and I really think it's going to be another one of those that's 20,000 votes or less out of 3.5 million cast. That's going to be tight.
In Wisconsin, Paul Petit, CBN News.
Thank you, Paul. CBN Chief Political Analyst David Brody joins us now. David, thanks for being here. 3 weeks to go. Where does the race stand right now?
Well, it's not in a good place right now for Kamala Harris. The trend line is not good for her. We'll get into specifics, I guess, here in a moment. But look, bottom line here, Andrew, is that she's down 3 points in a month on her favorability rating. That's not good. The lead that she had from an aggregate standpoint with Real Clear Politics is down from 2 points down to 1 point. So it's going in the opposite direction. Look, Andrew, ultimately this race will be decided on 2 different demographics, if you will. Gender, where Kamala Harris is leading among women, Donald Trump leading among men, and education, where Donald Trump is leading among non-college educated folks out there, and Kamala Harris leading among college-educated folks. So those are kind of the parameters.
Real quick before we get into specific states, why the drop, do you think, for Kamala Harris? What's happened?
Well, look, I mean, the truth of the matter is there hasn't been any substance. There's no there, as they like to say. It's gotten to the point, Andrew, where Saturday Night Live is making fun of her. And as we know, SNL is a cultural landmark, and it kind of plays through the conservative and liberal echo chamber. It's kind of like a sense of where the country is. And if SNL, and let's be honest, they're liberal writers there at SNL, if they're making fun of Kamala Harris saying, I'm a middle-class kid, I come from a middle-class family, if that's the punchline, that's not good for Kamala Harris. The point is she had an opportunity to provide substance. She has not. Voters are catching on.
All right, let's get into some specifics. As you mentioned, one key pollster shows Harris with thin leads in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Trump gaining ground. What's the likelihood he could break through the so-called blue wall, as they say?
Well, very likely, and Pennsylvania is probably his best shot. Look, Kamala Harris, in order for her to win on Election Day 3 weeks from today, she's going to have to sweep all 3 blue wall states. It's just that simple. If Donald Trump breaks through in any of them, Wisconsin, as we just heard, Pennsylvania, of course, is the big one, and Michigan as well. Any of those, it's going to be a much easier path and most likely a Trump victory on election night. So that's where we're at this point.
Something interesting happening here with just a few weeks ago, Vice President Harris is announcing initiatives to help young black men. We heard former President Obama talking about this a bit as well. Why are Democrats concerned about their vote?
Well, look, this is a big problem. And just to be clear, this has been going on for a while. You know, Barack Obama had an 81% differential between him and Mitt Romney back in the day, in 2012, among black men, young black men, I should say, between the ages of 18 and 44. And that's where the drop-off has been, because Obama had an 81% differential in a positive way. That is now down to 41% from 2012 to 2024 with Kamala Harris. In 12 years, the Democrat Party is losing young black men, 18 to 44, by now 40 points less than they were doing at their high water mark. It is a major problem. Look, the Obama coalition of 2008, 2012, done. Blown to smithereens, if you will. Donald Trump has changed the dynamic. Everything is different. It is now Democrats going after the college-educated, white, suburban, affluent crowd in the suburbs, and it's Donald Trump appealing to more Hispanics, more blacks, more even Gen Z as well. Jewish votes, Arab Americans, everything's changed.
All right, let's talk about the Senate. Democrats hold a 1-seat majority. What key races are Republicans watching that could potentially give them the majority?
Let me make it very simple, Andrew. Montana and West Virginia, if they win both, and they're going to win West Virginia, that'll flip red. That means they need to win one more. And Montana, Tim Sheehy, the Republican, looking very good against the Democrat, John Tester, out there. So if they win those two, that's it. They'll have control of the Senate. If they can hold on to the seats that they are currently running in, Republican-held seats, like Ted Cruz, for example, in Texas. He's in a tough race. Rick Scott in Florida as well. They should win those. If they do, Republicans will have control. There's other ones as well. Democrats are in trouble across the board in Michigan, in Ohio with Sherrod Brown, and in many other places as well. So, look, this is going to be tough sledding for the Democrats in the Senate for sure. All
right, David, final question. Let's talk about the House. Republicans have a very slim majority. What do you think?
Harder for them to keep control of the House. They can do it for sure, but they're going to have to do well in places like New York and California. Those are a lot of key House races there. 26 or so. Out of all of the 435 races across the country, there are about 26 or so that are going to decide control of the House. Most of those, a bulk of those, are in New York and California. Here's the good news for Kamala Harris. Those are blue states. If abortion becomes a big issue, if the college-educated voters get out, and even if she doesn't win, it could help the down ballot races, and for them, the Democrats to control the House. So the Dems have a better shot at controlling the House than they do of the Senate or the White House.
All right, David, appreciate your analysis as always. Thanks for being with us.
You bet. Thanks, Sam.
And I am sitting here with a Wisconsin native. You heard Paul Petit's story about Wisconsin. Yes. I guess your home state plays a vital role. They must feel very important there every election season.
Well, they're diligent, let me say that. Hardy people, like the mail, rain, sleet, snow, or hail, they're going to the polls, and they'll go knowledgeable. So an important state.
America will be watching what Wisconsin does.
Yes.